Hello friends, welcome back to Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So today is Sunday, September 1st, and I'm going to be working on a few things here in the homestead today. One of which is I am going to get out my fall decorations because autumn is my favorite season. I am so excited September's here, and yes, I know it is still a gazillion degrees outside in most of the at least southern states, and I don't care. It's September, and at some point the weather will be cool and I can just look forward to it. So I'm going to break out my very simple fall decorations. I'm not big on decor, but I do have some fall things, so I'm gonna get those things out and put them around the house today. But I'm also going to be working on a couple of other things, one of which is making a very simple modification to this shelving unit right here. So I built this shelving unit when we were still living in military housing. We were at Redstone Arsenal in Alabama, and I had this little spot where I wanted to build a shelving unit in the kitchen, and so I built this. It's super simple. It's just made out of 2x4s. There's shelf supports here that are 2x3, and then the shelves, you know, top and bottom, are all just a 2x12 that I just cut. Now, after my husband retired from the Army and we had our homestead there in Alabama, I had used this for storing all of my cast iron, and so I removed the top shelf and I put hooks all along the top, and I had all of my cast iron skillets and all of that stuff hanging in here. Those of you who've been around for a little while saw this shelving unit in my kitchen countless times. But now in the past year, I've started using some Smithy cast iron, which is my absolute favorite cast iron. I think I did a video about it. If I did, I'll put a link in the video description or up in the corner here where you can check that out. I actually like this brand of cast iron so much, I signed up to be an affiliate for it because it's like the most amazing cast iron I've ever used. And so because I have my Smithy pieces actually hanging in my kitchen, like on display on the wall, I didn't really need all of the cast iron that I had here, and I didn't really need to be storing it all right here anymore. And so I gifted all of my extra cast iron to my son and daughter-in-law. I did keep a few pieces, like my little cast iron skillet. This is the one that I make almost all of my cornbread in, and so of course I'm keeping this one. I also kept this Lodge skillet that I do a lot of baking in. There's been many recipes you've seen me bake things in this, like the old-fashioned oatmeal cake recipe that I did a couple of months ago. There's been many things that I've baked in this, and so I hung on to that one. And then of course the oldest cast iron piece that I have was my grandfather's skillet, and it is a very special skillet to me because it was my grandfather's. He took it on all of his camping trips, his hunting trips. He cooked on it over a campfire. You know, he had that for a really long time, and so it's, you know, probably close to 100 years old. As a matter of fact, when I had launched a second website focusing primarily on grain-free, you know, super healthy recipes, I called it Wholesome Skillet, and my grandfather's skillet was like the feature art for that website. Now, all of those recipes do still exist. They are all on cosmopolitancornbread.com because I just could not maintain two separate websites. It was too much work. If I was doing that, I couldn't do YouTube. It was just, I had too many irons in the fire. And so I went ahead and combined the two websites. All of those, you know, healthy recipes are on Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and you can find them generally in the paleo or keto friendly categories on my website. And in case you don't know, my website, cosmopolitancornbread.com, has over 800 recipes on there. I've been a food writer for a really long time. So there's tons of things that you can find over there. There's articles, all sorts of goodies, including like how to take care of cast iron, how to restore it and maintain it and all of that. So I digress. My first little project that I'm going to do here today is I'm going to replace this shelf. Since I don't need all that storage and I'm only using like 2 little hooks right here just for these small pieces, that frees this up so I can restore the shelf that used to be here. And so this week I went and bought a 2x12 so that I could cut off a section and replace this shelf. It'll be just plain wood for a little while. I do have the paint that I used to paint this. It's the exact same paint that I've painted all of my upper cabinets in the kitchen with, ultra white cabinet paint. So I have a can around here somewhere. So I will, at some point, I'll paint that shelf. And I'll probably go ahead and kind of touch up the whole shelving unit because there's some nicks and scratches and stuff like that just from wear and tear and all the use and moving and everything else. So first up, I'm going to locate one of my measuring tapes and go ahead and measure this so that I can then go ahead and cut that piece of wood. Y'all, I can't believe this. So I just went in there to plug in my saw and there was some wood sitting over on the side of the workshop. This is the original shelf. This is the original shelf for that shelving unit. So it looks like I don't need to cut a shelf after all. Now it's filthy. I need to clean it up, but that's okay because I was going to paint it anyways. But here it is. Alright, so I got out my fall decor, or most of it. I have actually a few other things that are kind of tucked away, but I've got like a couple of towels that are fall themed. I have my fall tea kettle, a ceramic tea kettle, belonged to my mother-in-law. Lots of pumpkins, because I just love pumpkin stuff. Pumpkin trivet for on the counter. I've got, of course, a couple of fall-themed beautiful pottery mugs. This one, and this one, and this one. Wise men still seek him. And yes, I consider this fall. That's a whole different topic. These were all made by my sweet friend PJ. And she has a pottery shop where she makes all of these beautiful, whimsical, adorable mugs, including a custom one that she made for me, and I love it so much I have it on display on my kitchen counter. Look at this. She made this beauty for me. Isn't it just precious? So it has kind of a rendition of my logo, my hen and spoon logo. It's got sheaves of wheat around it. It's got flowers all over it. And on the back, it says Cosmopolitan Cornbread. I keep this on display on my counter all the time. Now I do actually have two things that I added to my kitchen this week that I just absolutely fell in love with and I cannot wait to use. And that is two new baking pans. Y'all, when I saw these, I just was smitten. Now this is the first one, and it is a loaf pan, but when you look at the bottom, which if you bake it and flip it upside down, it will be the top. Y'all, look at this. It's pumpkins and sheaves of grain. I hope you can see that. I hope you can see how gorgeous that is and that it isn't too backlit. It is beautiful. So I got this one. And then I also got this one. And again, actually let me try and brighten that up a little bit so hopefully you can see the detail a little bit better. So this one, it has pumpkin, sheaves of grain, another pumpkin, and then up here it has a sunflower. And then the handles are kind of like a rope or basket. And it's got a little bit of texture on the side. That is just so pretty. I cannot wait to bake with these. So these are, they're cast aluminum, which I'm not a fan of aluminum, but they are coated, and so I feel like it'll be okay to use these periodically. They were made by Nordic Ware, but y'all, they were just so pretty. So pretty. Alright, so now I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put all of these things. Now, my table runner, I have a cabinet, an antique in the living room that I always put my table runner on. Of course, my mugs will go in my Hoosier over my coffee maker, although a couple of my summery mugs will get packed away for now so that these can take their spot. But yeah, I cannot wait for autumn weather to arrive. Alright, so I made my apple pumpkin bread, and I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous. I was nervous that it would come out of that pan. I've never baked in a pan that had that much texture. And the mixture that I put on there, I call it my baking spray replacement. I have it on my website. I'll put a link down below. And I've used that for baking, and I've never had anything stick with it. But, like I said, I've never used a pan with that much texture. So I was hesitant. I'm like, please let it come out of this pan. But it worked. I was so excited. So right now I am mixing up some sausage seasoning. I have a recipe, of course, on my website for homemade sausage seasoning. This is for breakfast sausage, but my family has overridden me about the fennel. They really do not like the fennel. So I have omitted that. I think I had it marked as optional in the recipe anyways. But I'm mixing up some breakfast sausage. I bought a whole bunch, 9 pounds of ground turkey at Aldi's this week. And so I'm just mixing up my seasoning. I'm going to mix up the sausage, and then I'm just going to freeze it in portions. And I've got a willow bean. You can probably hear her playing. But just a little tip about mixing meats. When you're mixing up ground meats, turkey, ground beef, venison, moose, whatever, and you're adding in all the ingredients for things like, say, meatloaf or meatballs or breakfast sausage, you want to just barely combine the ingredients, because when you overwork the meat, it becomes tough. And that's one of the reasons you end up with dry meatloaf or dry, tough little stones that are supposed to be juicy meatballs. So you just want to barely mix it in. And so one of the things that I do is I kind of break up the meat a little bit in the bowl, and then I sprinkle the seasoning in, add a little bit more meat, and just kind of layer it all together, and then just toss it like a salad until it's sort of mixed, and then that's it. So I'm going to get to working on this. Alright friends, so that is it for today. I will put links to all of the recipes and things that I mentioned in today's video down in the video description down below so that you can find those. So that is it for today. Thanks for spending some time with me here again at the homestead. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.